So at my school, we have this online grading system that lets you see what you got on your test before you even get it back. You can see your grade, you can see the high grade, the low grade, and the average grade, so you know about where you fall with your class. So it's 9th grade, and I walk into math, and everyone's talking about the scores that have just gone up. And they're talking about the high, it was a 105, and I joined the conversation like, a 105, I didn't know grades 1 above 100. Isn't that the best you do? And then they start talking about the low grade, and it was a 20. They're like, that poor kid, how do you get a 20? So I join in like, yeah, what idiot got a 20? It was me. But the girls next to me were talking about their 80s and how dumb they felt, so I'm thinking, if you got an 80 and you're dumb, and I got a 20, then what adjective could there possibly be to describe what I am? So I have my game plan. My teacher's gonna give me my test. I'm gonna flip it over and shove it in my bag, and no one's ever gonna know. Because I was embarrassed. And I wasn't embarrassed because I got the lowest score. I was embarrassed because I got the lowest score, but I had studied. So I ended up failing that year, and my school came up with this plan that I was gonna take geometry next year like everybody else, and then my junior year, repeat the class I had just failed. And that honestly might have been a really good plan, except then I failed geometry. So then they had to put me in summer school, and while my friends were getting up early to go to the beach, I was getting up early to go sit in the hot, hot basement of my school that has bars on the windows, and I felt trapped. But what was worse than that was how confused I found myself. And it wasn't I'm hot and confused, but I would look at the board and the numbers were like moving. Not like what's going on, like they were moving on the board, on my paper, in my head, and it was awful. I ended up being diagnosed with a learning disability specific to math. It's called dyscalculia, and honestly, it just means that sometimes I just don't understand. But that can be really hard for teachers to get, the just part of that, because they want to help you and they want to know why you don't understand, but I can't tell them why, I just don't. So I passed summer school and I scraped by junior year, and now I'm a senior. And I have this teacher, and I really, really love her. She's kind, she's funny, and most importantly, she cares about whether or not you pass, which is really important to a kid like me. But then she did this one thing that kind of annoyed me when she handed out this article about your growth mindset to my class. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read it. I looked at the word growth mindset and I was like, that's dumb, that's not gonna work, I'm over it. But I really did like my teacher, so I kept going to class, I kept doing my homework, I kept showing up. And then a couple weeks later, we had this problem. And it's called a do now, and you just do it really fast before class starts, and then one kid has to go up and do it in front of everyone. And in my entire 6 years of being a student at my school, I have never once volunteered to go do a problem in front of a class. Because even if I might have been right, I was probably wrong, but this one was different. I checked in with my neighbor, I looked it over a bunch of times, and I felt right. So I raised my hand, and even though everyone was a little surprised, they let me go do it. So I walk up to the front of the room, and I have my pen, and I do the best I can, and I circle my answer like 5 times because I'm really proud, and everyone's staring at me. And I'm like, thank God they're staring at me because finally I'm on the same level as them. I'm good at math now. And I sit down and we start going over the problem, and the answer was 16x squared minus 4x plus 2 all over 3x, and my answer, circled 4 times in red, was 5. So I'm looking around at everyone, prepared to feel embarrassed and just go, oh yeah, I'm dumb, it happens. But then it was different, because they all started going over it with me. And we'd go over why it couldn't have possibly been 5, which I understood after about 30 seconds. But the point was, I didn't feel ashamed. And that's when I realized what a growth mindset is. It isn't willing yourself into being able to do something, because I can be as positive as you want. I'm still positive I don't know the answer. It's just that you have to give it a shot. So if you haven't figured it out by now, I don't want to be an accountant when I grow up. You're never gonna walk into a bank and see me there, I promise. But I do want to be an actor. And this goes for that too, because in auditions and on stage, you mess up sometimes. But if you can grow from it, then it doesn't matter if you messed up at all. And that's when I realized what my teacher was trying to tell us. She didn't want you to make yourself magically good at math. She just wanted us to try. Thank you.